Well, it's time for the youth and children to come forward. They're coming. Up. Good morning.
How are you today?
Oh, good. Here comes our good news crew, too.
That's okay. No. Well, have you ever made a mistake?
No.
Yep. Well, we all mess up and we make mistakes. Sometimes they're little things like we forget somebody's birthday, or we get specific directions on a paper at school and we have to use certain colors in certain places, and we don't do that. Or maybe you mix up salt and sugar if you're making cookies. Ugh, yuck, that's not good. But sometimes we make some bigger mistakes and we hurt some other people's feelings and we need to apologize. So what happens when you make a mistake? What happens when you make a mistake? Van, have you ever made a mistake? Okay. When you make a mistake, what do you do? Okay, so you try to fix it, say you're sorry. Okay? How about you guys over here? If you make a mistake, what do you do? Do you quit? Say sorry. All right. So, do you give up if you make a mistake? Nope, we need to keep trying. Sometimes it's hard, but if we give up, we'll never know if we could have done better. Well, you know that there are actually a lot of things that exist in the world that came about as a result of a mistake. What are these things? What are those? What are they? Potato chips. Potato chips. Potato chips came about as a mistake, an accident. The story is that a man was eating in a restaurant and he got potatoes and they were hard, too thick and mushy. And he didn't like the way they were done. So he asked the cook to redo them. And the cook was kind of mad. So he sliced them super thin and he fried them. And as a result, we now have potato chips. There's some other things that you might know about. Chocolate chip cookies also came about as an accident or a mistake. Coca-Cola happened by accident. Wasn't supposed to be that way. Okay, it's not just an Easter egg. You might have to look close. Silly putty. Yep, something else by accident or a mistake. And a safety pin. All of those things happen by accident or mistake, but now they're things that are important that we use and we like. Well, you know what's amazing? God can take our mistakes and turn them into something new and meaningful. And the Bible is full of characters who made mistakes, and God gave them a second chance or a third or a 73rd chance because God restores us through Jesus. So in our story today, we're going to learn about Peter. We've talked about Peter before. When we were talking about him before, right before Easter, Jesus told Peter, you know what? You are going to say that you don't know me 3 times, and then the rooster is going to crow. And Peter is like, no, I love you, Jesus. I would never say that. But Peter made a big mistake. And people said, "Oh, you're a friend of Jesus." And Peter said, "No, I'm not." And then somebody else said, "I saw you talking to him. You know Jesus." "No, I don't." You were eating with him. You're one of his disciples." "No, I don't know Jesus. I'm not his friend." Then the rooster crowed, and Peter felt really bad. He made a bad mistake. But the good news is that the story does not end there. So after Jesus rose from the dead, he came back, and he appeared to several people. The disciples are out fishing because many of them had been fishermen, and they were catching nothing. So there's a man on the land, and he said, "Maybe put your nets on the other side of the boat. See if you can't catch something." So they listened, and they did that, and they caught a ton of fish. And Peter realized that it was Jesus who was talking. So they came ashore, and Jesus fed them fish and cooked and ate breakfast with them. And then he talked to Peter, and he said, "Peter, do you love me?" Peter said, "Yes." And Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." And Jesus asked again, "Peter, do you love me?" And Peter said, "Yes." And Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." Jesus said, "Peter, do you love me?" Peter's like, "Yes. Yes, Lord, I love you." "Tend my lambs." So 3 times he said he didn't know him, and 3 times he got a chance to say, "I do know you and I love you." So what does that mean? When Peter was told to take care of the sheep, it didn't mean like the kind that go bah. What did it mean? He was forgiven. He was, and he got a chance to make it right. Because you and both Van talked about when you make a mistake, you try to fix it, and you make it right. So Peter became a very important person in the church, and he was no longer a fisherman. He was a fisher of men, and his job was to tell other people about Jesus. And God used him in remarkable ways. God can always turn our stories around, even if we think that we have fallen too far to recover, or we sin, or we don't think that we can be forgiven. God always wants to use us, and he wants to turn our mess into success, and he will if we let him. So bring all your mistakes and all the things that go wrong to the Lord and watch the amazing things he can do. So let's say a prayer. Dear God, thank you for giving us second chances,
For giving us second chances,
even when we make mistakes.
we make mistakes.
Help us
Help us
to return to you
to return to you
no matter what
no matter what
we do.
we do.
Thank you
Thank you
for loving us.
for loving us.
We love you, God.
We love you, God.
And all God's people said,
Amen.
"Thank you."